Okay, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to the second discussion in the Open Lithuania tent. I hope that more people will join. And our second discussion will be a kind of follow-up to the first discussion, because during the first discussion we analyzed how much power do citizens have in the matters of their cities. And now we will talk about the examples of actual representation of citizens in the matters of the cities. That is called citizen assemblies. But the title of the discussion is rather nice one. It's not just citizen assemblies, but also an unicorn in a deliberative democracies. So perhaps we will speak a little bit about some mythological being that is unicorn, right? So, and to deal with all these complicated issues of deliberative democracy, citizen assemblies, active participation, I was offered help of two very distinguished panelists. So first of all, our guest from Ireland, Noelle O Connell. She's executive director of European Movement for Ireland. And our dear guest, Marcin Gerwin, coordinator of Gdansk Citizens Assembly. So we have people who are really doing in their everyday job these citizen assemblies issues, and I think their experience would be very interesting to listen, to comprehend it, and even to use for us in Lithuania. So first of all, I would like to give a floor to a guest that is closer geographically to Lithuania and also culturally and historically. Anyway, Lithuania and Poland once was one state. So Marcin, your experience while organizing this assembly, what was the initiative, why it was organized, and what were the way of organizing it and the results that you have achieved?
So hello everyone. So actually the story from Gdansk is that I was like a city activist myself. So and for many years I was looking for the process which would enable to engage citizens in a meaningful way, and I was interested in binding results. So I wanted not just public consultations, but at the end, you know, the city hall does something, but we really don't know, or the results are not being implemented. So when I met with the mayor of Gdańsk, Paweł Adamowicz, like a couple of years ago, and I introduced him to this idea, let's organize a citizens' assembly on the issue of how can we better prepare the city of Gdańsk for flooding, because in 2016 there was like an extreme flood, like again. And the city was not prepared well. He said, yes, I didn't consider organizing an event around it, but let's do it. And then we spoke, and he asked me about my motivation, why did I approach him? Okay, because they were like a bit cautious, you know, there is this long-haired activist coming to the city hall, we need to be careful, who is it? But he knew a bit who I was. So, but anyway, after some conversation, I knew I had to ask him, will you accept the recommendation of the Citizens' Assembly when they reach the level of support of 80% as binding for you? And he was like, okay, yes. And that was it. So that's the story from Gdańsk. So we have started with like a real kind deliberative democracy, and at least some of the recommendations of the free citizens' assemblies organized in Gdańsk are being implemented. So it's happening.
Okay, so how big the Citizens Assembly is? How many people are there? How they are selected?
Mm-hmm. We have started with, I guess it was around 56, plus we add to it 10 to 12 substitutes, because some people may drop out, so we would like to have like around 20% of the group as substitutes. But there is no like a special card for them. They're like regular members, participants of the Citizens' Assembly. So currently in other cities, because it has spread to Lublin, to Krakow, and also Wrocław is interested, Warsaw, in those big cities, we use the number of 60, and Warsaw will be 80 or 100. It might be 100, because Warsaw is more than 1 million of citizens, and for people and for the city council, it should look like, okay, it's representative enough. This group is big enough so that we can trust the results that come out of it.
Okay, so how this group is formed?
Formed.
Yeah.
What we try to do, okay, we say citizens assembly, but what is it? It's a city or a country in a miniature, in a small scale, because Gdańsk is around 450,000 people. They will not gather anywhere. It's not possible to have like a mere real, like eye-to-eye personal conversation in such a large group. That's why you need a method of scaling down to create the whole city of Gdańsk in a small scale. And let's say this is the 60 people. And the composition, demographic composition of the group reflects demographic composition of the city of Gdańsk in terms of gender, age, education, and also there are 34 districts in the city of Gdańsk. And we try to include all of them. So this group is very diverse, and we do it all by random selection. When we start, we send out, let's say, around 10,000 or maybe more letters with invitation, personal letters of invitations, and they are selected by lot. What we use is a full voters register with names and so on, addresses, and we, by random selection, we send it out, and the letters are signed by the mayor. There is a topic given. There is, participants received certain amount of money. So it's not like a consultation where just people come, because it takes many days. So there is some compensation needed for example, for taking care of children or something like this. So around 150 euros for the whole thing per person. That's the amount of money people receive. It's
for the whole session?
For everything. For everything.
Okay.
For everything. In United Kingdom, it's £200 for 1 weekend, so it's higher. But first we send out letters with invitations. Then people say, "Oh, it's a nice idea. I would like to participate." So they register by phone or they register on the special website. And from this group, which is like, let's say 1,000 or 800, there is a second random selection. And we do it by tossing a regular dice. There is a table, there is a ball, and we toss the dice. And it's transmitted live on the internet, everyone can watch it, and that's how we select the final group of participants.
Okay, so then the criteria is just for the groups, right? And from those groups you are creating this assembly. So are they a meeting in live?
Oh yes. That's the whole point, because deliberation works best when it's done live, person in person. The eye contact, it really matters. It matters in terms also of how people listen to opinion of others. It's much better than just reading a comment on the internet. It's not the same as someone is sitting in front of you and explaining his or her point of view. It's a better uptake of information. So that's why this personal contact is very important. And the way we do it in Poland is the meetings are on Saturdays, and it's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., so it's six hours. So it's a long process. And
for how many questions, by the way?
It depends. For example, the second Citizens Assembly in Gdańsk, there was this general topic. It was how to improve air quality. But it was narrowed down just to burning coal at home at home furnaces. So not transport, because we had this like a conclusion that if we open the discussion on around transportation, it will be too much. So we just narrowed it down to burning coal, and we had some very nice concrete 9 recommendations at the end. And at the same time, a topic was done in Lublin. The scope was bigger. It was home furnaces, it was transportation, urban greenery, urban planning, and some other issues. And there were 55 recommendations, and the city hall was like, okay, now what do we do with that? Yes.
Okay, so one session per question.
No, So you start with the educational phase. So, for example, if your topic is climate change, you start like a whole day explaining what is it, like giving a background for the climate change issue. What is a greenhouse
Kind of
effect?
lecture.
Yes, yes. You invite experts, and experts present not just one opinion, but a whole diverse. They present many solutions and many points of views. And also definitely the city hall is invited because they know best what is currently done in the city, what are the plans for it. So usually the city hall will have someone presenting like a background story of what is being done in terms of energy solutions being implemented in the city, if it's climate change or if it's improving air quality. And then we have a special part for stakeholders. Stakeholders meaning non-governmental organizations, institutions, it can be universities and so on, any kind of group, also informal group, which is interested in this topic and is working on this topic, and they are not selected. There is no selection on stakeholders in Poland. Everyone can come and present their opinion. So we like this part because it's so open.
Okay, what about if during the meeting of Citizens Assembly someone tries to take over it?
It never happened, and what do you mean?
Well, let's say a person with very specific radical views would stand up, would make announcements, disturb the order, let's say.
Okay, so it did not happen, and I hope it will not happen. But generally, there are certain rules of discussion, and we start with, first of all, we have very good facilitators, people who run the discussion, and we they set the tone, the atmosphere, and there is no point in at shouting at other people. If anyone is, mentally healthy and reasonable, they understand that in this way they will not influence the citizens' assembly. It just doesn't work like that. So the whole point is that the facilitators present some certain rules of how to run the discussion. For example, that's the best section around this festival right now.
Exactly.
For example, one of the rules is respect. It's listening to each other, and really people follow it because they would like to participate in something meaningful. And if we would have a person like this, it will be taken out, and yes.
Okay, and the final question for a moment for you. What is the sources of the financing of this?
It's the easy question. So it's finals from the city budget.
Okay, and let's say the approximate amounts?
40,000 euro.
40,000 euro for whole session?
Yes, for
everything. For one question?
No, for the whole topic.
Annual?
For the whole event.
For the whole event. Yes. And the event, how long it takes?
6 meetings, let's say.
6 meetings, so okay,
so
a week basically.
2-3 months.
Okay, thank you so much. It's very interesting experience, I should say, though it looks very much complicated.
It is.
Yeah, so now I would like to turn to Noelle and to ask, again, Ireland is also not so far from Lithuania because a lot of Lithuanians have gone to Ireland, right? Yeah. Okay. 40,000. Not working? One moment.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, now?
I think about 40,000.
Okay, so what about your experience with citizen assemblies? Is it like in Gdansk, or is it another topic, another scheme?
Mm-hmm. So in Ireland, if I could just talk, and I'll specify on the Citizens' Assembly, but the whole process of deliberative democracy is really important in Ireland. My organisation, European Movement Ireland, for over 65 years, we've been trying to connect and develop Ireland and Europe. And we have there's two big ways of doing that in Ireland. One of them are these citizen dialogues, where we go around the country and talk about the future of Europe, climate change, sustainability, jobs, opportunity, and obviously Ireland's place in an evolving European Union. So that project has been going on the last number of years. In terms of the Citizens' Assembly, they started back in 2001. there was a referendum in Ireland on the Nice Treaty. It was rejected. The government decided in order to facilitate and explain and debate our relationship with the EU, not to advocate a specific outcome, but to facilitate a platform for debate and engagement, the National Forum on Europe was created. So this was like a precursor to citizens' assemblies. Then we created, Professor David Farrell created We the Citizens. That took place during 2008, during the financial crisis. It was about building engagement, discussions on the Irish economy, which was in a very challenging situation. The government then saw how successful that was and created something called a constitutional convention in 2010. And that was a combination of political representatives from the island of Ireland and 66 citizens, where they debated issues such as marriage equality, reducing the voting age, electoral reform, removing the blasphemy as an offence from our constitution, because in Ireland our constitution can only be changed by popular referendum. And given the success of that, the government then saw that we should create these citizens' assemblies. So a bit like what Martin was saying, 99 people are selected as being representative of the whole population all over the country. And they have come together over 10 to 12 weekends and debated issues such as climate change, aging population, referendum, the age of eligibility to stand as president of our country. So it's a bit of a long story, but that I think sets the scene.
So if I am correct, then if, let's say, in Poland, we're speaking about citizen assemblies in cities. So in Ireland, we're speaking about the kind of national approach to citizen assemblies.
Yes, very much.
So having in mind that the representative democracy is a democracy when people elect the representatives, right? How it works when it comes together with the, let's say, what about parliament? Mm-hmm. What about government?
Yep.
Why there is a need, additional say for the citizens? Because I think you hold elections, right?
Yes.
Not like in UK. Okay, yeah. So can you please explain?
We also do 9 EU referenda, so more than they have in the UK as well.
Okay. Yeah. So it seems that it was growing up from European level to national and now going up to municipal, right?
Yes. We have really seen over the last couple of decades a real awareness in Ireland of the power of the people, that it's not just about voting and having your say, it's that our elected representatives must listen to them. And that is why these very sensitive and difficult issues, such as marriage equality, such as abortion, the decisions and how they were structured, similar to Poland, of having experts explain the various topics, then people debating them, and then people voting on them. Our government saw the results, and the actual referendum was really reflective of the outcome of these citizens' assemblies. So they are very reflective of the population.
Okay, so how many? 66 people for the whole population, right?
99 people.
Okay, 99.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just
Yeah.
I don't know why. Okay, so 90. So and the island I think is 4.5 billion, right? Not billion, millions. Sorry.
No,
So
we're not
something
that
going
big
on.
yet.
Something going on
About
strange
four,
there.
yeah, we
Yeah,
4.8. We'll
4.8,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Gdansk, 400,000, yes, and now I'm afraid to make another mistake, 60, right? Yes. Okay, so how you are able to find the right ratio with this 99 people for 4.8 million? Yeah.
Like, it is not an exact science. The government supports and funds the project. So an independent polling company was contracted to select these people to try and ensure as wide a reflection and a composition as possible.
Do you have Lithuanians there?
Oh, good question. I don't know, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's well, we have a growing, very multi-ethnic population. So I'm sure there were some different nationalities there, but people's travel expenses were covered. But one challenge was working moms found it hard to get childcare, so that segment of the population felt that did a couple of them, but then weren't able to do all of them. So that is something that I think needs to be looked at, because the next citizens' assemblies that we are going to have are going to be on gender equality, on the issue of climate change, and similar to your previous discussion, whether Dublin should have a municipally elected mayor. Okay, so we don't. It's a little bit different to Lithuania, I think.
So the whole island will decide whether the Dublin shall have.
No, just Dublin. This will be
Dublin.
similar back to Gdansk, I think.
Okay, so Marcin also said that one of the main results that Citizen Assembly has, even for the start, was obligatory implementation of the recommendations. Have I got you right?
Yes, that's exactly what we wanted. But from the legal point of view, these are public consultations. And actually, Poland is kind of unique in the sense that the mayor or the city council says up front, before it all starts, that we will do it. This is not usual.
So it's in Gdansk or in Poland?
This is general rule in Poland. We would not organize a citizens' assembly unless the mayor agrees to it.
But it is all. Is it established in the law?
No.
Okay, so let's say citizens' assembly takes. You said 7, 8 recommendations, right? So then the city council shall follow and implement. Have it happen in practice?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell an example?
An example of for instance, there was like a very simple recommendation from the second Citizens Assembly on how to improve air quality. Participants said, "Oh, we would like to exchange coal furnaces and all of them." And definitely the mayor of Gdańsk increased the amount of money to do it. So, and what is already implemented is that on the city, when there is a bus stop, you have information when the bus is coming. And there is also information what is the current level of, is the air quality good or not, and if it's polluted, what is the number. And the number is according to World Health Organization standards, not the Polish government standards. They're very much different. So it's an exact implementation of a recommendation of the Citizens Assembly. And many of the first one on flooding were actually put into practice. And 1 year after that, we had another flood, and the city was better prepared. The reaction was faster, they knew better what to do, and it was partially due to the outcomes of the citizens' assembly.
Okay, thanks. Noelle, the same question for you. These recommendations of citizen assemblies, are they obligatory for the government?
So in some cases, the government has taken them on board. In others, they have been defeated. So to give an example, the Citizens' Assembly said that the presidential election age in Ireland at 35 should be lowered, but the people didn't agree. So that was where it was somewhat different. So there, but on the on the issues like the repeal the eighth and the marriage equality, the government took on board the recommendations of the Citizens' Assembly, and then these issues were put to a referendum, and the people in the country voted. And the vote, percentage-wise, was very similar to what the Citizens' Assembly said. So, to give an example, on the abortion issue, 64%, I think, of the Citizens' Assembly said that that abortion should be legal. When it went to the country, it was 64% or 66%. So very reflective of how the vote went.
Mm-hmm. How much all the people of Ireland know about the Citizen Assembly?
It's really well known because it has a secretariat. It gets a lot of coverage on national media. Some of the topics are live streamed. It's on social media, and people really follow it, and it has created more bottom-up democracy and a greater sense of ownership of how we want our country to be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Marcin, we've heard in previous discussion, at least a representative from our municipality, he said that in Gdansk, the activity of the citizens voting for the assembly has sharply fallen. Is this true or just misunderstanding, most likely?
What do you mean because of the number of assemblies?
Because of so-called citizens' budget, something like that. Or it's a different issue?
Oh, it's a different issue, yes.
Okay.
Because what is very popular in Poland, it's something we have started in the city of Sopot, where I live. It's participatory budgeting. It's around Poland for like 8 years. And Sopot was the first city, then was like Poznań, Łódź, and it spread to 200 cities. So in Poland, it's like normal. Everyone has it. And like last year, it was put into national law that all the big cities, it's obligatory. So participatory budgeting is like normal. Everyone has it. So and yes, there are some differences in terms of a number of people voting on it in Gdańsk. But Citizens' Assembly are a different project.
So it's not category. Connected?
No.
In no way?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, thanks. We also have one more guest, foreign guest, and I'm looking at Zakia Evlang from Denmark, right? Zakia, so you are as far as... sorry, can you please give a microphone for Zakia? So as far as I know, you are trying to build Citizens' Assembly in Denmark, right?
We are already running citizen assemblies in Denmark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how it's different from Poland or Ireland, or is it the same?
As you said, it's not exact science, so there's a lot of design questions around this, and every citizen assembly has its own context and own design need. And what we do right now is we run a citizen assembly for the municipality of Copenhagen, which is about reduction of car traffic in the inner city, and at the same time improved life quality, basically. So it's a urban planning citizen assembly that has to connect many different stakeholders and views on the city. And I mean, it follows pretty much the kind of process steps of some of the citizens' assemblies run in Poland and in Ireland and other parts of the world. And I think the main difference to where Poland and Ireland is that for us it's still a new thing. We're running one right now, and we've commissioned 2 more, and they are all 3 on the municipal level. And there's a strong group working for a national citizen assembly on climate change and climate policy. But it's gonna come. It's gonna be rolling rapidly, I'm sure. And the reason why is also because there's a great need for better connection between system and citizens, and for methods to kind of collect collective intelligence and empowering of people in some of the really difficult issues. And I think to mention just one thing I've become really positive about is that we were in the beginning actually afraid that the Danish politicians, that are very strong group of social democrats in Denmark, and they tend to be a bit afraid of citizen assemblies because they like the union power. But they have actually come to a point where they come sit on, participant chairs and just observe the open part of the assemblies, because they're so kind of ambitious and passionate about what's happening. So I have great expectations for how that's gonna build a stronger democratic space for us.
And the same question as for both participants, is it obligatory decision of your citizens' assemblies?
No, but it's commissioned by the mayor. It's commissioned by the mayor, and it's tied up very strictly to the kind of parliamentarian process. So it's already now decided how it's going to be debated and decided upon in all the different boards and city councils, and it's going to be very difficult for them not to follow the recommendation. But if they do, it's going to be very public. So it's not obligatory, but it's very transparent, and it's very committed.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I think it's time to take some questions from the audience, if we have anyone. Yeah. Oh. Participant of the previous discussion, Yekaterina, please.
Yes, listening to these experiences, I understood that maybe we have, in Vilnius at least, we have some form of assembly. It's public committees by the municipalities.
But nobody knows.
No, though. Okay, there is one problem. Another thing is that actually it's only one committee. It's committee for greenery in the city, which has obligatory, the recommendations of which are obligatory, and it's signed also by the Ministry of Environment, that there is a document, law document, which makes the decision of this committee obligatory for municipality. So we have something like that, but the problem is that there are really only 5, 6, 7 people. I wanted to ask how many people are in assemblies in your case, and how they are elected in case of Copenhagen, because I believe that you also talked about that.
Yes, Marcin and Noelle already talked. Okay, so Zakia, if you please, what is the composition of the assembly?
There's 36 in our the one we're running right now in Copenhagen, but it's also a much smaller population group. It's a group of inhabitants at altogether 10,000 people. So 36 is actually quite a lot. And we have the very fortunate thing in Denmark that we have a very, very, very effective digital citizen solution called Borger.dk, which means we can recruit people digitally. So we basically invite them, they get a letter in their digital letter mail from the municipality, and then they can reply on the same mailbox, and from there on we do we have an algorithm that do the lottery process. So it's completely transparent, and we have tested the kind of the response on the digital citizen solution is kind of 400 times better than the polling version. So it's a really one-to-one match for the citizens in the of Copenhagen, and the criteria are gender, age, housing form, transportation form, what more, income. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any other comments, reactions, questions? Yes, please.
I'd just like to ask a question about, in each of your presentations, there's a sense of the promotion of your model. So let's say if we move aside from the promo, where are the problematics of the model? Just be interested to know, or maybe there's none, that's great, but just be interested.
Thank you very much. That's exactly the question that I wanted to ask afterwards. Okay, please. What are the dark sides of the citizen assemblies?
Not that many, actually. But, that's the honest answer, because I was asked about the challenges recently, and I had to think hard. And one of the biggest one was when you started. You have this city council or the administration from the city hall being like kind of suspicious, and that's the issue. But it's an issue only for the first time. Once they see it, they're like, oh, it works, it's clear, it works. So then it's gone. And each time, when you, then it's dependent on the topic. When you have a topic of climate change, oh, it's huge. How do you approach topic like climate change? So it's a design challenge. How do you provide sufficient information? But there are also citizens' assemblies on very concrete, specific, small topics, like the city of Krakow would like to have a decision whether or not should we build a monument to commemorate soldiers of the Home Army from the Second World War. So it's like a very concrete, not that much education. So it's a short one. So that one is easy. And many things we have figured out before. So like I was also speaking with a person from the Warsaw City Hall. So when they are starting their process, there is enough experience in Poland to do the one in Warsaw right from the very beginning to the end. So that will be my answer.
So in every city, everything works well. You don't have failed instances of citizen assemblies, depending, for example, on who's mayor, political power, and divisions.
Like the things that could have been done better in our previous citizens' assemblies in Poland, the topics were too broad. Definitely, I completely would say that there was not enough time for discussions, for a presentation of experts. That was like a flaw. We were too optimistic. We thought, oh, we will do it, we will cover it, but then we thought, no, not enough time, sorry. So, but now we know it, okay? So now we are prepared. Now we know that the topic should be narrow, concrete, and we think about how long would be the educational phase, that how many presentations of experts, meaning are we going to cover everything so that the participants will be happy with the amount of knowledge they have received? So that's the question for the designers. Now we are, due to our experiences, now we are getting better in it. So this is definitely something which could have been done better in Poland previously.
Noelle, your assemblies are dealing with extremely broad topics, right? So again, what about inadequacies or failures?
Yeah, no, a really good question. I would think some of the challenges are expectation management, conversion, and follow through, and acceptance that they are not a panacea to cure all ills. They are a really important step, but they are not, there is no substitute for the members of parliament and the government and doing their job and making decisions. Also, I think, if we take the citizens' assemblies, where we have the 99 people on the different topics on those big issues that I talked about, the citizen dialogues that we do, we have had thousands of people taking part around the country, and that is a very organic topic, a very organic process rather, dealing with issues about security, defence, climate change, our relationship with the European Union. And from all that feedback, we were able to input the views of people around the country into the future of Europe debate from an Ireland perspective in Sibiu under the Romanian presidency. So they're really important in getting people thinking and debating, but the government has to take on board and implement the views, and that is not always easy for them to do. And similar to what Marcin said, I think in the Citizens' Assembly there were what we call teething problems, some logistical, operational challenges, but they evolved and got better over time. What was really important, and in our own citizen dialogues, is to have really good independent moderators for all of the table discussions, and also to have experts. That might not be an attractive word in this era of fake news and lots of challenges, but for dealing with very complex topics, you need people to be informed and to be able to explain the intricacies. So that was really important as well.
Thank you. Marcin, just one moment. Marcin, are there plans to move citizens' assemblies in Poland from a municipal level to national level and European level?
Oh yes, in Poland we have started a campaign on the National Citizens' Assembly on climate change. We have prepared a model of how to do it, of how to approach this topic. Actually, it is based on the experiences from United Kingdom as well. And but in Poland we have elections, national elections coming in October. So we're waiting for the result, because now we don't know who are we going to speak with. So now we are just presenting the idea. And for the European level, definitely, in last year, there was already a citizens panel organized by European Commission. I would say that it was like a pilot, and for the pilot it was fine, and it was around 100 people from all EU member states, and Romania, Malta, Poland, and probably Slovenia as well. Because they invited everyone. So I remember a person from Ireland, actually, he was in my group. So. And definitely, it would be great to have another, like a really well-designed European citizens' assemblies, and there are people working around it. And even before coming to the festival today, I had a talk with a friend of mine from Brussels, because we would like to approach Ursula von der Leyen with the idea of doing it on the EU level. And there are more people, not just me, there are more people approaching the European Commission with this. But
that's why, Marcin, the citizens dialogues, town hall dialogues that the European Commission has been doing in all the different member states in the lead up to Sibiu was really, really good. But I think it shows the challenge of taking and converting all that debate and information and policy ideas, and how do we make them real and relevant and reduce that disconnect between the system and the citizens.
So we still have one comment or question. Sandra, please.
Yes, I wanted to ask you. You, Martin and Noelle, you participated in the previous discussion, and you heard the problems or challenges our communities face. First of all, they don't talk or they don't listen. So how to sell the idea of citizen assembly? Does it depend on the leadership, on the particular politician, or how to sell the idea?
I think from an Irish perspective, it was chaired by an independent Chief Justice who was very respected, and it was independent, but obviously the government had to pay for it to take place, but it was seen as not party politically affiliated, and that was very, very important. And because when the cameras zoomed in on people, they were not politicians, they were not elected representatives, they were ordinary people, so people identified with them. So that was really important, and people saw the outcomes coming from that. For us, with the citizen dialogues on the European debate, the fact that a minister was leading them was really effective. And the minister went around to every single table and listened to what people were saying. And everyone in the local towns and villages and municipalities were invited to take part. So it wasn't limited to numbers. So in some we had 40 people, in others we had 150 people, and everyone got the opportunity amongst the tables to debate and have their say. So the results worked. It takes a bit of time, but I think if you have strong leadership and people feel they're being listened to, that was very important in Ireland.
Okay, Marcin, you just said before the discussion that from the first discussion you got an impression that Lithuania is some 10 years behind Poland.
Not exactly.
Right?
I didn't phrase it. My feeling was that the stories that I heard were the stories from Poland 10 years ago. So you're not 10 years behind. So I didn't mean that.
Sorry.
But definitely, what is different in Poland? For example, we have in many large cities we have local law where a group of citizens already can initiate a citizens' assembly on the topic of their choice by collecting signatures. In Warsaw, it's 1,000 signatures, and it was already used. A coalition of climate groups, Earth Strike, Extinction Rebellion, Fridays for the Future, and many others, they collected the signatures, they approached the mayor, and the mayor said, yes, I will organize a citizens' assembly on this topic. And the same is happening in the city of Wrocław, in Poznań, and there are plans in other places as well, Słupsk, for example. So you asked Sandra how to start, what are the conditions to start the citizens' assembly on the local level. I would say definitely a progressive mayor. And the mayors are different all over the country, and some of them are more progressives than others. Why? Because the citizens' assembly, it's not just about the process. Once you have a good group of coordinators, the process will work well. It will be a success, but it will not be a success of a whole process. The whole process will be perceived as a success when the mayor will implement the results and when people will be happy about it. Then it's a complete success. So that's why you also need a progressive mayor and a good administration and a good city hall, civil servants who will be able to implement the results. Then it works.
Okay, thanks. And Zakia would like to react, if I'm correct.
Just one little add-on, and that is that I think the main credit we can give in Denmark to our first citizen assembly is actually a very, very progressive civil servant. I'm a high-ranking civil servant that reached out to us, and then we started designing this together, and then we got a progressive mayor on board. But it was actually a civil servant that said, we can't fix this with the tools we have. Yeah. We need to do something else. Can you help us? So it can, the driver can come from many corners of society.
Okay, so
it's a little funny story. So there is a citizens' assembly starting this weekend in Greater Cambridge, not Cambridge the city, but the county, Greater Cambridge. The same topic as in Copenhagen. They have congestion problems in the middle of the city, and I have spoken with one of the coordinators, and she said, Marcin, we did this random selection, but through the random selection process for Cambridge, we have selected a person who took part in a citizens' assembly in Poland and moved to United Kingdom. So these are the miracles of random selection.
Yeah. Okay, so Poland is spreading the idea of citizens' assembly all over, so I hope
and
it will
people
come.
As well.
Yeah, and people as well. Okay, so our time is almost up. So to wrap a discussion, some final statements? Advices, maybe suggestions.
I think just 3 words. Just do it.
Okay, great. Do you agree?
Yes, I wanted to say it. Citizens' assemblies are such a great idea. So I am pretty sure they will be organized quickly in Lithuania as well.
Okay, so round of applause. So I'd like to thank you, our dear guest Marcin Gerwin and Noelle O Connell, as well as Zakia Evlank. And I would like to thank everyone who was listening to this discussion. I hope that we learned a lot. And I also do hope that in Lithuania, first citizen assembly will be organized soon. Tai kągi, ačiū visiems labai, kad klausėte, tikiuosi išgirdote įdomių dalykų ir susitiksim kitose diskusijose. Ačiū.